Mount Shasta with us. We're having a reunion, and that's going to be on July 15th here. We're going to have a potluck.
Everybody's invited.
What?
Everybody's invited.
Oh, everybody's invited, yeah, because we're gonna show pictures, any pictures you took of Shasta, get them to Corky, and she's gonna put them on, we'll do a slideshow. So anybody, you don't have to have gone to Shasta. Come watch the slideshow, come eat and have fun, and see what they did. And because your pictures usually represent what you did and what you thought was magnificent. Like Annie talking about taking pictures in the crystal room is great. I got some pictures of me tying prayer ties on the tree in the Peace Garden. And I went, I did that. And it kind of brings you back to, what did I do? What was going on? But it gives other people an idea of what happened. And the reason I'm saying that is because many people go to Mount Shasta and they get up there and they go, well, what do I do now? This is a great looking mountain. And I feel something. But what is that? So I want people to get excited because that's one of the best vortexes we have, not in the United States, in the world. People travel from all over the world to see Mount Shasta, and it's just 5 hours away, and some people have never been there.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I don't guarantee you the magic of snow in the middle of the June, but
You never know.
you never know. It might happen to you. So. As I mentioned last week, that was so funny. I said, I don't want to have 85-degree weather and I don't want it to rain. I did not even think that the universe would say, okay, we're in control and have it snow. That had never been in part of my consciousness.
And when it did rain, it was always when we were indoors or away
Yeah.
at night, in the middle of the night. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
it was interesting. Okay.
Camelot.
Well, yes, Camelot. So now what's it time to do? Wave your flag.
Yay!
Yay, wave your flag. Yay, yay, yay. And the reason this represents you today, this doesn't necessarily represent gay pride. That's what it's been said that this represents, but it also, you're waving it. You can wave any kind of flag and have it mean anything you want. You could sit here and say, red means because I have some Native American energy and I want that to be represented. I could have the orange be because I like the sun. I could have the yellow be because I am so excited about gold in my pocket, okay? I could have the green be, I'm a good healer. I mean, you see what I mean? You can make up what you want these to stand for. Today is to celebrate you. I read this while I was looking into what does pride mean. And it says, I am God's creation, my parents' decoration, the youth of the nation, empowered by my friends' motivation, and I'm proud of being me.
beautiful.
Isn't that great? And there are so many things that we are. And pride really is a measure of love. Think of that. When you're proud of your animals, you're proud of your pets, you're proud of your parents, or you're proud of your siblings or your children, there's a love. And I want you all to feel that love today. Be proud of yourself. Remember, you're the only you there is. Because you can't really love somebody or something if you aren't proud of it. So it goes both ways, doesn't it? You need to feel that sense of pride about something to love it. And when you love something, you start feeling proud of it. So, how many of you love your house? You love your house. I really love this place. And then you start being more pride in the house. Not that you're prideful and say, look at my house and it's the greatest one, but there's a sense of pride that you really enjoy that house. And when your love is just unconditional, you can honestly say that you're proud of, could be anything. I have a story that I've told so many times, but the little 7-year-old me who did this is so tickled. One day, I had a piece of wood, and I was walking along, and I had a tennis ball, and I bounced it on the piece of wood. And hey, that was pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I walked around for days, seeing how many times before I missed could I bounce that tennis ball up. And when I got to 850 times I could bounce that ball, I declared myself the champion of the world. And nobody came along and said, no, they were. I was the champion, you know? And it sounds like, yeah, that's what a 7-year-old would do. But it was a joy of having something that I could be really proud of. I was a short, fat, clumsy little girl, you know, but I could bounce that ball. And I would show off anytime. And what happened when it became prideful? It wasn't near as cute, was it?
No.
It wasn't near as fun.
Probably missed a lot more.
Yeah, but I found that I wasn't quite as attached to it because I stopped loving it as much as I had before I was it. But when the whole thing with the ball on the string and the paddle came into being, boy, I was good at that. That eye-hand coordinate. I got so when I was in middle school, in assemblies, I would get up and do the paddle. You know? One of the few athletic things I ever did. But it was that sense of, I can do this. I can be the best. And so it doesn't have to be a pride in something that other people really care about. It's a pride in you. Think of what you really feel good about. And when you get into that, is this a pride in me or am I being prideful? Everything you read about that's negative is about you being full of pride, being prideful. No, when you are proud of you, that's when you walk with your head up. That's when you can look at people and say, hi, there you are. Well, this is the last weekend in June. And this is Gay Pride in San Francisco, but also around the world. It used to be that this was one of the biggest parades in the world. And still is right up there at the top. Although Sydney, and theirs is not this time of year, but Sydney has a Gay Pride celebration week that just about rivals San Francisco. So it's moving all around. It's becoming worldwide, not just nationwide. When I talked about you could make these colors anything you want, when Gilbert Baker designed this flag, it had 8 stripes. And it had a pink stripe, and it also had a violet stripe. And what happened, it was turquoise. We still have the violet, it was turquoise. And those two were very hard to duplicate and print. The pink just took too much money to duplicate on the flag. So they dropped it down to 6. But what they stand for, when it had pink, pink was for sexuality. It was like, well, that's a shame we lost that, okay? But it's red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, blue for harmony and peace, violet for spirit, and turquoise was for art and magic. Okay. And art and magic.
We lost art, magic,
Yeah,
and
that's
sexuality.
too bad.
Yeah, we lost art, magic, and sensuality.
Prop 13.
We can never lose those.
But if you want to see the original flag, it's in the Museum of Modern Art.
Yeah.
And it was donated, and you can go see it, and it's at the very front of when you walk in the museum. And thankfully, Gilbert was alive when that was donated, and he was able to see it. Gilbert Baker was quite a character. And for those who saw the movie Milk, they represented him in there. He was an artist and very creative. And what happened is people were saying, we need something besides the pink triangle. The pink triangle represented the gay community. And that was what they used during World War II. The Nazis had said, this person is a homosexual, and they had a pink triangle, much like the Jews had the Star of David. So when you had a pink triangle, that meant that you were part of the group that got
Yeah, but
Let-
that came to be recognized by the gay community
mhm.
as oppression. When
As oppression, yeah,
Right.
as oppression, yeah, yeah. But it wasn't the joy they were looking for
No.
a symbol.
No.
It was the oppression, it was all that. Because even now, they have a huge acre pink triangle on the hill overlooking San Francisco.
Yeah, they just-
So it's still symbolic. It's symbolic to remind people of what was, so we don't go back to that kind of oppression and what was happening. Unfortunately, after World War II, the Germans still carried on with that type of oppression in Germany at that time. Since then, things have changed. Things are changing all around the world, and they're changing very rapidly. And so just know that those of you who are going, or if you're gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever you want to be called is your title. You're entitled to do that. You can be who you want to be, but be very proud of who it is that you want to be. So anyway, what happened was when this came up, they were talking about, what we need a symbol. And so Gilbert went, what is a good symbol? And he said that he had never thought of flags as really meaning much. But then 1776 did not come around. It was 1976. When 1976, the American flag was on everything. I don't know if you remember. Coffee cups had the American flag. Everything had the American flag on it. And he realized that it became something that you could look at and see, and it wasn't just sacred. It was symbolic of the United States, but it wasn't that sacred because it had been used for everything. So he thought, well, we should have something like that. So he decided he was going to make something, a flag. Well, I like this because he says, I looked at the flags flying on the various government buildings around the Civic Center. I thought of the American flag with its 13 stripes and 13 stars. The colonies breaking away from England to form the United States. I thought of the vertical red, white, and blue tricolor from the French Revolution and how both flags owed their beginnings to a riot, a rebellion, or revolution. I thought a gay nation should have a flag too, to proclaim its own idea of power. And then we had what happened in Stonewall. And for those of you who don't know, there was an inn called Stonewall Inn, which was a gay bar in San Francisco and Manhattan. And
New York.
it wasn't in Manhattan, it was in New York.
It was
You
in New
said
York.
San Francisco to Manhattan, you just.
I said San Francisco?
And Manhattan.
And Manhattan, so that's
So-
New York.
So sorry,
We're
Manhattan.
tracking, we're
I
good.
don't want to mess my words up or they're gonna haul me off in an ambulance again. Yeah. Anyway, so as he started thinking about when they had the riot and when the people said, no, we're not gonna take this anymore. We're not gonna take the police coming in and hassling everybody. We're not going to. So there was an element of people who just stood up. None of you realize the terror that went on with gay people during that period of time in the 60s. It was if you got arrested in a bar, okay, think of this. If as a woman you were wearing 3 articles of male clothing, you could be arrested and taken to jail for cross-dressing, which was a crime. And in jail, they got your name and address and published it in the newspaper, which meant you lost your job, especially if you were a nurse, a school teacher, all sorts of different things. For men, it was the same thing. If it was any articles of female clothing, they could get arrested. Well, that became this power play that was ripe for blackmail, corruption, and everything. And there were some places, some bars, that somebody came in and they would just immediately call the police. And then you could bargain, oh, please don't take me to jail, and buy off the police. So as I said, it was ripe for corruption. And so it happened. So there was so much going on, and also this was the beginning of the plague
Yeah.
in the 60s. And for those of you who weren't around then, you have no idea how scary that was for everybody. Just picture San Francisco. The reporter reported that there was somebody who was had died. And they had here we have a print of the obituary. The next week, there were 4. Within 2 months, there was 180 obits a day. I mean, it was like, what is going on here? And I met a gentleman, his name was Dale, and I met him up at the Russian River. And I said, Dale, you don't look like you feel good. And this was 1968. And he said, Dottie, they don't know what's wrong with me. I said, what do you mean? He said, I can't keep food down. But there's not anything wrong really with my stomach. So they're going to do a surgery because they think they know what it is. And he's the first person I ever knew who had the AIDS virus, and at that point, they just didn't know what was going on. Now, they found later that it had been around for a lot longer than that, than the 60s. But it was a difficult time for everybody. So now we're over that, hopefully. We keep doing public newscasts and everything else to people to be careful, have safe sex, all of that. And so, but let's go back to what happened when all of a sudden it was Stonewall that happened. We had a rebellion, and then here we are in San Francisco in the 70s. And Harvey Milk is a supervisor. Things are looking really good. And Harvey Milk said to our wonderful Gilbert and said, so when are you going to get us a flag of some kind? A symbol. We need something. So he says, we went to a dance at the Cow Palace, and we was Cleve Jones and Gilbert Baker. And he says, Cleve and I danced the same way we always did. We raised our arms over our heads, snapping our fingers like Diana Ross. We'd shake our hips like Tina Turner. We were cheerleaders twirling in psychedelic, funkadelic circles. The crowd is as much a part of the show as the band. Everyone was there. North Beach beatniks, bored bikers in black leather, teenagers in the back row kissing. There were long-haired, lithe girls in belly dance get-ups, pink-haired punks safety pinned together, hippie suburbanites, movie stars so beautiful they left you dumbstruck, muscle gay boys with perfect mustaches, butch dykes in blue jeans, and fairies of all genders in thrift store dresses. Dance fused us, magical and cleansing. We were all in a swirl of color and light. It was like a rainbow. A rainbow! That's a moment when I knew exactly what kind of a flag I would make. According to Gilbert, a rainbow flag was a conscious choice, natural and necessary. The rainbow came from earliest recorded history as a symbol of hope. In the book of Genesis, it appeared as proof of a covenant between God and all living creatures. It was also found in Chinese, Egyptian, and Native American history. A rainbow flag would be the modern alternative to the pink triangle. Now the rioters who claimed their freedom at the Stonewall Bar in 1969 would have their own symbol of liberation. He's made that wonderful, wonderful flag. And it went, what happened, it was a week before the Gay Pride Parade. And he got a bunch of trash cans and a bunch of community support. Each trash can was a different color dye. And they dyed, and they made flags. And they went so fast, everybody got behind it. And they started getting so excited about the rainbow flag. It represented everything hopeful, it represented everything positive, and it represented all of the things that he had said it would. And so within that week, there were 25 million people who changed their Facebook to have a gay flag on it. That's around the world. That is quick. And that is when it started. And now when we see the wonderful flags that we were handing out today, and you look at it, realize it's a symbol of hope. It's not just a symbol that this is something that I want. It really is a symbol of hope. the thing that I loved about reading about this gentleman is because when he's talking about this, he said, I knew I had done something. I knew I had created something. I just had a feeling that people were going to be taking this flag to heart. And at that point he said, I don't want to trademark this. This is my creation, but I don't want to trademark it because it's a gift to the world. So Cleve Jones said, he told me when the flag first went up that he knew at that moment it was his life's work. At that point, he began calling himself the gay Betsy Ross.
Betsy Ross. Dottie, weren't one of the first flags like super big?
No.
Yeah, no.
No, they started out, they didn't
No.
make them, okay.
Then he helped make the one that they had at the Capitol. He helped the one that came in Chicago that was a block long. No, then he started, and he was the one they would go to for assistance in helping it. Yeah,
And the one
And is it,
that flies in Harvey Milk Plaza, he helped. with
yeah,
that.
yeah, in
That's
Harvey
a
Milk
huge
Plaza.
flag.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
isn't it interesting how the word flag became an acronym?
Right, and then the word flag became an acronym. Yes, exactly.
And it's wonderful, you know.
And what does flag stand for?
But
What does flag stand for? Family?
Lesbians and
Oh.
gays.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, there is isn't there the flag, family and friends of,
Yeah,
friends?
lesbian and gay.
Oh, it's a P flag, okay.
Yeah,
That's a big triangle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Under that.
Parents and friends.
Yes, friends of lesbians and gays.
Yes,
That's P
The
flag.
one in 1994 at the Gay Pride, I think it was the 25th
Mhm.
anniversary of Stonewall, they had the mile-long
Right.
flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
yeah.
the whole mile. I was in the parade and we were
Yeah.
the very last contingent. I was with the union from San Francisco, the nurses union.
Mhm, yeah.
And it was the neatest thing. You could see it up ahead, just,
Every window in my house where I lived had a flag in it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
out front door, 2 flags. Don't you think it was good?
It just went. I mean, it
Yeah.
went so fast.
Yeah, everybody loved it, I remember.
In 2015, I got a call,
Mhm.
and it was from my good friend Reverend Ronnie Grigsby, with the news that the state Supreme Court enacted the same-sex marriage bill, and it was supported by President Barack Obama. And I was just like, wow. And I don't know how many of you got that call, or you heard it on the news, or whatever. But it was so great to get that call. And that is about freedom. That is getting us so we don't have to wear a pink triangle. That is getting us into that place where there is more and more freedom that's coming about in the gay community. And so for those of you who say, yeah, but what's pride got to do that? Pride has everything. These are many, many people who are still in different places like Zimbabwe, put to death
Yeah.
because they found out that they're gay.
Florida.
Florida's
There's a
having,
horrible increase in AIDS because people are afraid to go get care because they're afraid somebody will find out that they're
Right.
gay.
yeah.
It's just, it's in our own United States, we're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very, very, very difficult. Now, David, so I found some things that people could read that have to do with, and David has the one I think is the absolute best I've ever read. That's so fun. David, could you share that?
Okay. I'm gonna read this out of sequence. Okay, it makes sense more that way.
Okay.
Okay, this is out of Leviticus 20:13. If a man lays with another man, he should be stoned. We've just been interpreting wrong all these years. It all makes sense now. Gay marriage and marijuana being legalized on the same day. It makes more sense that way, huh?
Thank you, David.
Oh, I have another one.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other one is not so silly. Okay. Of course I dress well. I didn't spend all that time in the closet for nothing.
sounds fun. You'd like to read? Yes, Smith.
This was from Pope Francis. If someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge? We shouldn't marginalize people for this. They must be integrated into society. As an aside on this, in about 1979, I couldn't figure out why my son seemed to be pulling away from me. And my then wife, Carolyn, says, "Oh, I know why. He's gay." And she waited for my reaction. And I stood there and looked at her and I said, "Is that all?" He walked over, picked up the phone and called him. Told him I didn't have a right to tell him who he could love or who he couldn't love. He's my son. I loved him.
Yay! Thank you.
Smitty, what year was that? Smitty?
79.
Okay, Paul?
Well, come on.
Next time.
Get up. I won't. I have two here. One says, "Dear gay men, please stop being so much kinder, funnier, more attractive than straight men. It's pathetic. Sincerely, all single women." And the other one from a quote from Wanda Sykes, who I love. "Overall, the LGBT community, we're the same. We're like everybody else, except we're better looking and more stylish." So too.
Gay marriage is an insult to the sanctity of marriage. No, I think that's divorce.
Okay, anybody, yeah, Annie?
Love is boundaryless. If you can make me feel, if you can make me laugh, and that's hard, then I can be with you. I don't care if you have a vagina or if you're a hermaphrodite or whatever. Angel Hayes.
Anybody else? I want to read. Did the basket get around?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Mel.
I can read one. I thought I would try to be gay for a while, but I'm more sexually attracted to women. You're right.
Not so.
But I'm really glad I found a few gay friends, because it totally saved me from becoming a monk or something.
A monk.
Kurt Cobain.
Oh, Kurt Cobain, oh my gosh, oh, wow, yes, Kim.
Do we have to worry about who's gay and who's straight? This is from Ellen. Can't we just love everybody and judge them by the car they drive?
Hey, I don't drive a car. What do you mean? I have rights too.
Yeah, we could judge you on, I don't know what.
Or maybe not judge at all.
Okay, all right, so if we're now ready to pass the basket, if
Pass
you'd
the
like to
basket.
get your donation ready.
Oh, that's
I knew it was here somewhere. Thank you. It was around here somewhere.
Okay,